Moment of Triumph update in Destiny is a bittersweet one at best. This update brought a lot of great changes to the game, including things that fans have been asking for, like the old artifacts or new aspects and abilities. But my favorite addition to this update, however, is the return of old encounters in the Pantheon 2.0. Insurrection Prime from Search of the Past was probably one of the coolest encounters I've ever seen, and since I started Destiny in Lightfall, I was waiting for the day that they eventually bring back this cool encounter. Fast forward to a couple days ago, when I first cleared the boss in Pantheon, I got a certain Black Armory shotgun that was reprised in the update, and saw that it dropped with 1-2 punch and elemental honing. And that really got me thinking, is there a way to capitalize on this specific role? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you a crazy build that can crank out crazy amounts of damage and keep you alive in the deadly scenarios like solo flawlessing dungeons or doing raids with harder feats. And speaking of, all the clips in the background are me soloing duality with this build, and the only damage I ever did was just with a kinetic shotgun. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's get right into it. Now, first, the build takes place on a hunter class, more specifically the prismatic hunter. This subclass, which was introduced in the final shape, has been Hunter's best subclass since its release, and for good reason. Now, this subclass is very unique in the sense that you can use multiple different elements at once, but I'm sure you guys probably already know that. So, let's just get right into the different abilities. Now, for our super, we are going to be using Shadow Shot Deadfall, the Tether. Now, for two reasons mainly. Number one, it's just a good AoE debuff that you can use on adds, and also for the artifact that we're going to be showing off soon. Second, we're going to be using the Gambler's Dodge, which gives you your melee back with Combination Blow and Dustfield Grenade. All this I'm going to go into more detail once we talk about the artifact, which is more important. The aspects, we're going to be using Winter Shroud for dodging those nearby targets, and Threaded Spectre, so you spawn a little clone that can attract the enemy's aggro. We're going to be using Faceted Courage because it's just overall a good aspect for more damage. We're going to be using Faceted Hope as well, just so we can get more class ability energy. Also Faceted Purpose for Void Overshield. Faster Protection, because we're going to be punching enemies, we need to be near them, and it'll just give us a base DR. And Faceted Dawn, so that we get Radiant when we hit him with our melee. Next up, we're going to be going to the Armor Set bonus, which is the most important part of this build. Now, this Armor Set bonus states that performing your finisher stores power. The next time your shields are broken, you consume the stored power to immediately heal and start health regen. This is just basically a healing grenade in your back pocket, which means that we can use other sources of damage like the dust field instead of a healing grenade and still stay alive. But the most important part of this armor set is the 4-piece, which is melee conduction. It states that while you have Radiant, Restoration, or Cure, your melee will release an explosion that will scorch the target. Now, before we continue on this build, I just want to remind everyone that this build is focusing on the kinetic shotgun threat level with the role 1-2 punch elemental honing. If you do not have that specific role, there is another shotgun that has it, and it is Sudden Death from Prophecy, the Void shotgun. The issue with that is that it won't really work with our artifact, as you'll see later, but it still has that same role. So, getting back into the build, we're going to be using the Relativism Hunter Cloak as our exotic. Now, the only perk you really need is Spirit of the Liar, but I think that Spirit of Inmost Light helps this build so much because you're going to be focusing into that melee stat, which gives your grenade and your super and your class have less ability regen since you're going to have as much melee as you can. The Inmost Light helps the extra abilities that don't have as high of a stat so that you can still keep using all of your abilities without needing to have the stats in them. Moving on to our armor mods, we're going to be using a dynamo on our helmet so that when we dodge near enemies we get as much super energy as we can. Has a special ammo finder and a special ammo scout in case you're in a raid team or something. This gives special ammo for everyone and special ammo for yourself, which you need the most. On our arm, we're going to be using a momentum transfer and 2 heavy-handeds because we're just going to be using our melee a bunch. We might as well get some class ability energy from using our melee. And also we get an overpower every 3 seconds with that 2 heavy-handeds on. For our chest piece, we're going to have base resistances. It's not really that big of a deal. Use it for different, encounters or something. For our legs, we're going to be having an Innervation mod on so that we get grenade energy when we pick up the orbs, a Kinetic Siphon, and Absolution so that we just get ability energy all around it when we collect orbs from our melees. Lastly, on our class item, we're going to be having a Reaper so that every time we dodge, we can spawn overpower with the next weapon kill, a Powerful Attraction since we're going to be dodging a lot, we're just going to collect all those orbs that we make, and Time Dilation so that our armor charge of our Kinetic Surge will last longer. Now, for our weapons, of course, we're going to have the threat level, like I talked about earlier, and the roll is 1-2 punch elemental honing, which is the roll you want for this build specifically. Now, for your energy slot, it does matter what you use, however, because you need a void weapon. Just, that's it. I like to use Ancient Gospel from Garnet Salvation because it's amazing. It's an amazing weapon. My role is explosive payload. Let's see, stabilizing rounds. You can use Reckless Oracle from Garnet Salvation as well. You can use any void weapon you want. It just has to be void, and I'll talk about this further as we get to the artifact, which is next. Now, the artifact we're going to be using is the encrypted data disk from Renegades, the most recent one. And don't yell at me, trust me, this is very unique. First, we're going to be using, in the third column, Taser Tag, which makes our arc melee hits jolt combatants and deal more damage for a short duration. Next, we're going to be using Void Infestation, which is defeating a weakened target spawns a tracking projectile that weakens other targets. We're going to be using Blinding Jolts so that we can blind enemies when we kill jolted targets, which works with Taser Tag. Armor Smith, which is just breaking a shield, grants you increased melee damage and DR, which is good. And Singularity Blade, which makes it so if you hit a weakened target with your melee and kill them, it'll create a weakening burst, which works with our other artifact perks like Void Infestation and Power from Pain, which gives us Devour and rapid final blows against weakened combatants. And finally, the most important perk in this artifact with threat level is Kinetic Synthesis, which states that sustained kinetic weapon damage and rapid final blows have a chance to generate a unique ammo brick, which is a gray ammo brick that gives you ammo for your kinetic weapons. This will give you ammo and grant special and heavy ammo progress. So this is like the main part of using threat level with this build, is that when you're doing a lot of damage with your rapid fire shotgun, it'll spawn these bricks that'll basically give you infinite ammo so you can do crazy amount of damage on bosses, like you're seeing in the background right here against Skullrun. As you can see, I'm just spamming my shotgun, just instantly shooting over and over again. I have times 4 or 5 elements of honing with 1-2 punch, and just spamming my shotgun because I'm getting those ammo bricks from dealing sustained weapon damage with him with my shotgun, which is kinetic. Now, if you haven't come to realize it already, this build is all about keeping elemental honing up on your shotgun. All of our abilities and everything that, all the different abilities, different like elements, is all come together just so that you can use elemental honing on your shotgun. Or good, because it's a 40% damage buff to that shotgun. So, let's go through all the abilities and account for all of the elements that we're dealing damage with. So first is our melee, of course, which is an arc, and it jolts. So that's already one. Now, if we deal damage with our melee, it gives us radiant, which then, if we deal another hit, it does a solar explosion, which also counts for that specific burn. So now that's ×2. Our next element that we're going to be dealing damage with is stasis, which is for our dust field grenade. If we throw our dust field grenade down, any amount of tick damage that comes from that dust field grenade will give us a stack of elemental honing, which we want for our shotgun. Now, our Threaded Spectre and our Void are the hardest ones to really proc. Because you need to have Dustfield Grenade in your grenade slot, you can't use Grapple, you can't use anything else, and because we're using threat level, you can't have a kinetic weapon that's Strand, so that you can deal damage with it, that it gives you a stack. If Threaded Spectre is destroyed by an enemy, it will explode and give you a stack for your Elemental Honing. Lastly, there is no more space to fit a Void ability in our build. So, the base idea is just to have a Void weapon to shoot once so that you get that 5th stack. The gameplay loop should be something like this. Your neutral game, you should just be going through the enemies, dodging, meleeing, dodging, meleeing. You're going to be jolting, blinding, weakening, just ad clear should not be an issue. Your neutral game should not be an issue. Once you get to boss damage, which this build is actually really good for boss damage just by itself because you're proccing elemental honing and shooting so much. I tried on Kydal as well, and Kydal was really easy as well. I'm pretty sure I 3-phased her as well. So, you use your melee on them twice, so that you proc arc with your melee, solar with the solar burst you get from the armor set bonus, and preferably shoot once with your energy weapon so that you can get your 3rd buff. So you have ×3 already. And then what you're going to want to do is throw your dust field at their feet and just dodge once. Once you dodge once, the boss will preferably break your Threaded Spectre, which deals strand damage, and your dust field grenade will have done enough damage and maybe even frozen the boss so that it procs that 5th stack of elemental honing. And once you see that, You pop Transcendence and you just go to town. Once you start blowing through your ammo, you're going to be getting those bricks dropping on you all the time. Make sure to see what they drop and run into them, because it'll refresh your magazine, so you can just keep on shooting over and over and over and over again. If you ever get low on ammo, you can go right back to meleeing, or you can use the 1-2 punch combo on bigger and more powerful targets that aren't bosses, like champions and more harder enemies in difficult content. Now, before we go, I kind of just want to do a TLDR of what the build does great. So, 1, the build does good boss damage with elemental honing in the shotgun, and excellent ammo upkeep with kinetic synthesis in our artifact. 2, it has great ability regen with the class item with Inmost Light. Facets of Hope, Devour, and Winter's Shroud all give great ability energy. Number 3, we have excellent damage resistance and healing with our artifact perks like Armorsmith and the Armor Set bonus, which is a healing grenade in your back pocket whenever you finish something. And finally, 4, which is excellent add clear potential with the Solar Burst, the Jolting, the Blind, and the Weaken Burst. So this build is really just all around a great soloing and harder content build that uses one of the coolest armor set bonuses that I think released in the update. While this build might not be the best hunter build that is out there right now, I think that this is definitely a fun alternative and also a very safe option if you want to do any solo flawless in dungeons, because it's very consistent and it's very easy to stay alive in this build. If you liked this video and if you liked the build, just consider maybe subscribing or liking, and comment down below what you think of the build, if there's any different changes you think I can add to it. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.